Let's talk about the tariffs, okay? First of all, I don't care. Um, there is 100% tariff or something, and there is tariff from China to US. First of all, as I said, I don't care because when it comes to money and all of that, it's not um, it's not it's not on my mind. And but I'll still tell you what's happening here. So when you have tariffs in for China like that, what's happened during the years is that the industry has moved to China, and so when US, for example, has giant tariffs on Chinese goods, it means that for example, China, right? It means that what happened earlier was that the trade found its way via other countries, and so the the tariffs were avoided by sending through other countries like that. But what's if let's imagine that this tariff, it's a trade war, right? It's a supposed trade war. Let's assume that it continues. What does that mean? Well, wait, my coffee. I need to find my coffee. Coffee. Here it is. Okay. What happens if it continues? Well, it means that the the industry will eventually come back to places like US. And it will be more like a production-based economy instead of a debt-based economy. Still, you have why is it why does it become production-based? Well, it's because suddenly you have this production again to think about. Earlier, it just solved itself magically via the debt-based society. You just assume that if you have a lot of debt, then that's good for the economy. Something like that. But so this goes hand in hand with what is the cause of this? And I would say that the cause is that it's a bit of a mix, but I would say primarily the cause is um, a constant need for tax income, and when the tax income is not big enough from the population, the companies, there needs to be other ways to finance the bonds, the government bonds. If the government bonds is not financed, it means that there is a default, and the US currency, for example, is downgraded. So I would say that this trade war or the giant tariffs, it doesn't, maybe some of you believe that it has to do with nationalism and oh, let's do everything ourselves just because we're so proud of doing production, I don't think it's like that. No, it's always this ice cold economy thinking going on. And this ice cold economy thinking is simply the ice cold desire to increase tax income. for the government. This tax income will finance, like I'm just guessing here, it will finance the bonds, or like give credibility to the bonds. As I understand, this position of being the buyer of goods from China has had consequences in that China slowly buys up things around and within US and so on. This trend of China buying up everything is, as I said, I'm not particularly interested in, like, what I'm saying here is most probably the best analysis you will get, because I'm totally uninterested in money, actually. So this is the best analysis you'll get, because I don't care, okay? So China, on the other hand, what's the point of that? Well, China will start thinking, oh, we got a production, like some kind of admitting that there is a production-based economy. It always was a production-based economy, but you could see it backwards, like it was a debt-based society, because it was valid as long as you have an increasing working age population. You can have this imagination in your mind that there is a debt-based society when it's actually not, okay? So this imagination, you just put the formula on the other side, something like that, and then it just works with a debt-based society, That's how it works. And that's really how it works. And then suddenly you start grabbing the tiger by the tail, which means that the tiger will become angry. This is an economy way of thinking, to grab the tiger by the tail. It's actually a way to see what's happening, and which means that, like, that the tiger will become angry at some point. It will not work out. Taking the tiger by the tail. Anyhow, so let's imagine that this continues. Let's imagine that this just goes on. The trade stuff, the tariffs, and this. So first of all, the reason why other countries must respond to this move by the US president and his advisors is that to remain having a stable currency, you must kind of follow suit. You must follow suit, and you must follow this new way of thinking. You must do the same thing to not diverge too much in your currencies and the evaluation of your currencies. You must do the same. It's some kind of risk minimization to just follow suit, and it kind of makes sense. Let's everyone have tariffs. Let's make them 1,000,000%, and just cut everything off, right? The problem with that is that there starts popping up this black trade. Oh, the wonderful black trade, the wonderful freedom of free trade, right? So directly when you have too much trade control, the wonderfulness of the real trade will start blooming up in the background, and the governments consider this to be a disease. So the governments don't like free trade, so they have to think long and hard about how to make these tariffs, because it will create this alternative trade system. So yeah, in a way, all governments must follow suit. All countries must follow suit and do the same, because the US dollar is still seen as the world currency. Everyone must do the same. It's the best thing to do. Just do the same thing. Otherwise, there's a risk in the currencies getting unbalanced and something like that. Hocus pocus, something happens all of a sudden. So, and what happens then, Well, again, I don't care, okay? I really don't. What happens? Who knows, I would say a production-based economy reveals, it's a revelation of sorts. It's an economical revelation which reveals unbalance and unbalanced, like, investments, like money being at places where it shouldn't be, and a total change of society. Because I mean, the as I mentioned, the debt-based society is in question here. And there's been some. I actually don't look at the news when it comes to economy, so I heard that there's been some look into the gold reserves. Again, I don't care that there's been this look into the gold reserve, but it could be related to this production-based society. That, what do we have? What have we got? Are we like, can we do this, basically? And because a production-based society doesn't give debt a validity, in the same way. So who knows what could happen, again, there is an interest in government to survive. The government is like an organism in itself. It wants to live. The government wants to live. It is somewhat alive, it's, of course, you could see it as a parasite, you could do that. Why not? But people like that kind of thing. They like it. That's how it is. So the tariffs puts a pressure. They call it a trade war, but it's a good excuse to simply get tax income. Oh, let's get some tax income, and we call it that we have enemies. Let's pretend that we're enemies, like something like that. And then suddenly you have a lot of tax income for them constantly. The problem with the debt-based society is that what happens to what's really important, like, for example, there are studies showing that humans like humans don't breed. We don't breed well in captivity. It's just the same as you have an eagle. If you have an eagle, it will not like captivity. And so, even though people go around smiling, I believe that there is this feeling of captivity in the back of people's minds. Maybe they are not aware of it, but their fertility is aware of that. So, yeah. So that's it, Economy, as I said in the beginning, I don't care. I don't care at all. So that's my view of it by someone that really doesn't care. That's all.